Hi, I'm Rob Taylor, the author of the article you're currently reading, and in this quick video I'm going to look at the post-processing of the final batch of images. You may be wondering why I'm using a mid-session image instead of the final image that I was more happy with in terms of actual content, but to be honest, I processed them all almost identically, so it was pretty much a toss-up which one I used for this video. This one has a little more involvement with black and white conversion settings and how to deal with the smoke, things like that, which the other ones didn't really have. They were much simpler to deal with. So let's get into the settings. Very straightforward. I don't tend to use Camera Raw for too much in case I lose the XML files that hold the settings, so I tend to prefer to get the majority of my manipulation done and saved within the PSD. So lens correction, as long as you set it up, just the automatic usually does a pretty significant job. As you can see, it's removing a large degree of vignetting and removing the barrel distortion of the lens that I was using, Sigma 18-50. Sometimes you actually want the slightly more dimensional look and the vignetting, but by and large I just stick a default automatic lens correction on pretty much every image that I process. I think I've mentioned that in another video. What have I done to this? Temperature correction, most likely. Let's check. There we go. This is the original image, the RAW that came into Camera Raw, and the settings that it started with. And then, so we have a color correction, white balance correction, drop the exposure slightly just to increase the contrast in the smoke and background area a little bit, and boost the clarity again to bring the smoke out a bit more, particularly these wave patterns in here. But you have to be careful with clarity not to increase it too much. There's sort of a sweet spot. At 0, the smoke tends to be kind of blurry, but at 100 it becomes very, very crunchy and ugly. See that? And that's just doing nothing for me. It almost looks cartoony and over-processed HDR kind of look. So I brought it way back to there, and it contains enough detail so that it doesn't get lost in the background, but not enough detail that it starts distracting from the face. Because it's such an area of high contrast between the dark background and the backlighting coming through, you have to be very careful with how much sharpness you're actually going to provide in that area, otherwise it will become a massive distraction. And that's basically it. I don't think I ever really do anything else in Camera Raw, very rarely. So, done with that. Into Photoshop, running at 720p for the video instead of the native 1920 by 1200, so it's a little bit difficult for me to see everything, but onwards. So I imported the image not as a smart object, which means Silver Effects goes to a second layer. You can see it's quite a significant conversion. Let's see if I can guess the settings that I used on that. I probably can, because I tend to use the same settings. Start with full dynamic smooth. You may have heard that one before. That's pretty close. I probably added some structure in the midtones and possibly even in the shadows. Maybe just a little bit, not too much. And I probably didn't use that much. Yeah, I may have brought the highlights down a bit. And sometimes I use the color filter to play with the exact tonality that plays out across a piece of skin. Looks like I used the red filter on that, from what I remember. And I may even have burnt the edges of this with something soft. No, doesn't look like it. No. Okay. And see how that close that one is when it's done processing. Pretty close. Looks like there was one other, possibly an increase in contrast, an overall contrast, because these slightly darker areas have been darkened more in the other one, and these brighter areas have been brightened up in the final one. Get rid of that little test one. Okay. And then, quite simply, all I have is a couple of curves layers. I haven't actually labelled them, but this one should be darkened. Nope, that one's lightened. And that one's darkened. Okay. I'll label them right now. Lighten or dodge. And darken or burn. And this is just the regular way of doing dodge and burn non-destructively. Couple curves layers, one darker, one lighter, and then invert the layer masks to get it all black and not affecting the image whatsoever, and then you can just paint on in white whatever you need. So what I've done, play up the way the light's falling from the gridded beauty dish on his face right here, and just add a little bit of light into the eyes. You can see the light up a bit there, and I also increase the contrast of these wisps of smoke against his black hoodie and there as well. So it's bringing out the lighter details and then darken to give the lighter details something to stand out against. You can see in here, if I do that, nope. Well, that works. You can see largely where I've darkened, basically just working with the light, darkening what's already darker, or like here, where there's some light falling on it, but I don't really want it to be too light and take attention away from the face. Realistically, I want the viewer's attention to be basically entirely in this area right here, and everything else is just supporting that one little area of the image. There we go. That's what I was trying to do. It was Alt instead of Control. But you can see right there the way I've brushed on the burn brush. Just bring the background down, even bring the clothing down, so that despite the skin being black as well, it comes out more higher in the luminance range, a higher zone, if you will. And that's it. As I said, I wanted to keep the style simple, classy, really focus on the content, and the processing reflects that, really. I don't have 15 layers to go through this time. So I hope that was helpful for some, and thanks for watching.